The problem with War Thunder is it's a game that constantly swings from amazing to outrageously frustrating, often within the same session. It's a game I love, except for all those times I'm ready to nuke it from my hard drive. Every few sessions, something technical goes annoyingly wrong. A lot of times, I get an authentication error and can't log into my account. A few minutes later, it works again. Sometimes, my controls mysteriously go haywire. All my settings are lost, and I have to remap everything, which is the most boring and painstaking task in flight sims. Don't even bother wasting time on the controller wizard. It's the least effective wizard this side of Oz. Or there's that weird texture bug I only get in the cockpit view, when the world turns into a blurry, jagged mess, but looks perfect if I simply switch to a different camera. Recommended videos for you. War Thunder often seems like a ramshackle construction. There are too many places where it seems unfinished or buggy. It'd be unbearable, except for all those times it's actually sublime. Opens in new tab. At its best, War Thunder is a game of rare beauty and grace. The game is breathtaking when you're in the air, soaring over mountain valleys or Pacific atolls. Just taking a plane up through the clouds, where the world beyond your wingtips vanishes into fog while condensation whips over the canopy, gives way to the most extraordinary joy and elation when you burst into the clear blue sky. It feels like I'm really up there at the controls of a plane, playing among the peaks and valleys of a cloud formation. That's doubly true when I'm using special flight sim gear like a track IR head tracker and a flight stick. More important, War Thunder's air combat is simply some of the best and most intense I've ever experienced. World of Warplanes doesn't come close, its planes are too confined by the game's simple physics. It's a shooter where your avatar is a plane. In War Thunder, I always feel like I'm actually in the cockpit, and every kill is a story to tell. Even on the arcade settings, where the planes are extremely forgiving and every battle is basically an aerial melee, War Thunder forces players to learn and use basic flight maneuvers and aerial tactics. Bringing all the pieces together is very difficult but also very satisfying. It's not a stretch to say that War Thunder is the red orchestra of air combat. You can also crank up the realism, which does away with RESP-ons and puts you into more very tactical situations. Instead of just racing to shoot up all the other team's tanks or air bases, you might be waging a carrier battle in the Pacific, or trying to escort bombers to a target. The aircraft are a lot harder to handle and the stakes are a lot higher, but that only serves to heighten the authenticity. Gear grinding. If only War Thunder stayed at high altitude. But unfortunately, it comes crashing to Earth with the introduction of tank combat. Where air combat is fast and graceful, the tanks are plodding and fussy. The gestures toward realism only serve to drag things out. Early tanks grind to a halt over the gentlest grades, and War Thunder consistently overestimates my interest in managing a tank's manual transmission. It's like coaxing a slug. The slow pace is exacerbated by a combat system where the person who spots the target first is probably going to get the kill. So battlefields too often devolve into careful camping grounds, and by the time you maneuver to a good position, your glacial pace has eaten up a quarter of the battle time. War Thunder Island Warfare. Then there's the progression system. This is where War Thunder badly lags behind World of Warplanes and World of Tanks. Its upgrade tree is a Byzantine mess. Rather than having everything laid out in a simple step-by-step progression, the War Thunder tech tree is jammed full of weird side branches and a few too many marginal upgrades. Plus, the currency and research required to progress in the second and third tier of the game lead to some real doldrums. Premium currency helps alleviate this somewhat, but unless you're willing to drop some real cash on buying aircraft, you should brace yourself for some slogging. Still, as frustrated as I get with War Thunder's limitations, there's nothing else out there that so readily puts you at the center of a dogfight. When I swoop in behind an enemy fighter, drop the crosshairs just above the cockpit, and watch the bullets slope into the fuselage until it comes apart like a broken kite, I feel transported. I'm an ace, a master of the skies. War Thunder drives me crazy. I'm not sure how I can ever leave. It's not a stretch to say that War Thunder is the red orchestra of air combat. You can also crank up the realism, which does away with RESP-ons and puts you into more varied tactical situations. Instead of just racing to shoot up all the other team's tanks or air bases, you might be waging a carrier battle in the Pacific, or trying to escort bombers to a target. The aircraft are a lot harder to handle and the stakes are a lot higher, but that only serves to heighten the authenticity. One World of Tanks. As you can guess from the name, this is a game about driving tanks and fighting against other tanks. However, there's a lot more to it than just that. World of Tanks is a massive online multiplayer game involving strategy and teamwork within a constantly evolving battlefield. Cries there are tanks that go as far back as the 1930s. And you can get into one of these beauties with a few of your friends for some good old-fashioned armor vs armor action. On the more contemporary side, you've got tanks like the American M1A2 Abrams and Soviet T-72BM. There are different classes of tanks: light, medium, heavy, tank destroyer, etc. Despite being a free-to-play game, World of Tanks has over 600 vehicles and an extremely diverse selection of maps. All these tanks can be upgraded and customized. Plus, you have multiple game modes and clan battles. 2. Warface. Now, Warface is probably the one game on this list that doesn't feel very similar to War Thunder. Yeah, both have war in their names, but they are extremely different. One is a semi-realistic military simulator with large-scale battles involving aircraft and tanks. The other is a free-to-play Call of Duty-style shooter with generic character models and weapons. Still, Warface is its own thing and not just a Call of Duty rip-off. There is no vehicular combat, but the arenas are quite large and involve dozens of players duking it out over extended fights involving all sorts of weapons. You've got LMGs, snipers, assault rifles, shotguns, etc. with 5 unique classes of warriors to choose from. World of Warships. If you ask War Thunder fans what their favorite vehicle types are, they'll say aircraft and tanks in that order. You might be surprised considering the fact that vast naval battles with historically accurate warships are a thing in that game. But Gaijin never paid much attention to naval combat, which is why it feels less developed than air and land combat in War Thunder. Cry's World of Warships is all about fighting at sea. You've got giant armored ships with really big guns and some really exciting locations to fight within. From the icy waters of Alaska to the archipelagos of the Pacific, you'll never feel like any two battles are the same. Controlling a ship in real life is extremely difficult, but World of Warships makes it feel accessible even if you've got a basic controller. For IL-2 Sturmovik, Cliffs of Dover centered entirely around WW-2 fighter aircraft combat in the Battle of Britain. IL-2 Sturmovik, Cliffs of Dover is a gem in the rough. What it lacks in polish or UI design, it more than makes up for with stellar gameplay. When it works, the lighting in this game is simply exceptional. Sunlight streams in through the glass panels of your cockpit while shadows dance around on the instrument panel. Environmental effects like rain, snow, clouds, etc. Outside the cockpit make it feel as if you're actually inside a fighter aircraft. The airplanes themselves are very accurately modeled, with every detail replicated from their real-life counterparts. Damage is shown in a very realistic fashion. You knock out specific bits and pieces from an enemy aircraft instead of whittling down a health bar. As a result, you can knock out a subsystem with the aircraft like the controls or kill crew members such as pilots, gunners, etc. 5. Panzer Elite Special Edition. Most tank games these days have a well-defined objective laid out in front of you, like capturing an enemy area or knocking out a certain number of tanks. However, this ancient gem from the early 2000s only asks that you survive. That's right, there is no fancy PvP game mode. Instead, it's you in a WW2 tank and your comrades at your side in various campaigns across the world. You can experience the mayhem from an Axis or Allied point of view. If you play as a Russian tank commander, you'll be tasked with defending your motherland from invading German forces. If you play as an Axis member, you'll find yourself leading the Blitz. Six Steel Armor, Blaze of War. Some armored warfare games have only modern tanks while others have only WW2 tanks.